We're following breaking news developments tonight from that crash along NW Radial Highway involving several vehicles.
OPD now confirming one person is dead. 3 other people were injured. Witnesses at the scene told us about some of the people they saw involved in the crash.
He wasn't really talking to us. He was trying to make sure his wife was okay, but she wasn't responding.
Around this area, while crews cleared the wrecked vehicles, all lanes reopened about 45 minutes ago.